Hey there! Welcome to day 14 of 21 Days of Presence. I'm Adrienne Elise. Thanks for joining. So here we are really moving into this incredible portal activity happening in this as we lead up to this June solstice. Because today we're starting to feel Mars in opposition with Pluto, and we've been feeling Mars in opposition to Saturn. And so we're feeling both of them right now. And this is initiating, this started last month. It's initiating this 2020 astrology, and it's telling us what's going on, right? It's giving us our marching orders and pointing to areas in our life that we will be addressing for this next year and a half. Because in 2020, what happens is that Saturn and Pluto, they're going to come together at the end of this year. And right at the winter solstice, they're going to be coming closer together by the end of the year, getting 1 degree apart at the beginning of 2020, and stay very close for 2020. And then Jupiter will join. So this is this epic astrology of all of these planets in Capricorn. And what does this mean for us? Capricorn has an energy, it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is, of course, a key player here at home in Capricorn, and playing, maybe, worrying with Pluto and Jupiter. And so we are trying to expand with Jupiter will be joining, and transform and take back our power everywhere where we've given this away throughout our incarnations. This is an epic time for souls who have been paying attention, who understand that there's more to them than just this narrow experience, who understand that they have gone through so much to be here at this time. And so we're being shown everywhere where we've given our power away, because Capricorn represents structures of our life, our manifested world, but also authoritarian structures. So the whole Piscean age was based on using the oneness principle to basically program and control humanity to give over their power. And of course, that's an old story that's gone on, but we're trying to extricate ourselves from the Piscean age. And in the Piscean age, we were convinced that the power of this universe was outside of ourselves. And there's an organization like a church or a bank or a school or a mystery school or something like that we had to go back through, or go kind of try to convince or perform or be a certain way in order to come back into connection with God, when actually we are a particle of God and the creation force, and it exists within us. So we are have that by definition, by birthright, available to us in our own body, in our own electromagnetic field. So this can be an incredibly empowering time for those of us who have been doing the work. Now, part of the Capricorn energy is it's the mountain goat, and it's hard work paying off, right? Like step by step, moving up the mountain and just putting your nose to the grindstone and getting through. And then big benefits can come. So, it is a time now not to shy away from this work, even though many souls are so exhausted from lifetimes of not being able to truly rest and coming back again and again to the earth, being thwarted again and again in the healing energies, trying to bring healing light, make this world a better place. But it is not a time to give up now. We are so close to breaking through. Now, each of us breaks through individually as we're ready. And that's the process. The closer you get to breaking through. So Saturn is like a boundary planet to the wider, bigger planets, the bigger inner transpersonal planets. And it's kind of like the last planet we can see with our naked eye. And so it represents this guardian of the threshold to this greater, wider truth of who we are. This is everything that's happening in the world right now. It's like, really, we're going to still buy into the fact that there's this massive amount of planets and stars out there that we can't even imagine, and there's no other life. It's just us. We're just floating along on this planet, and there's no other life out there, right? It's like we're just coming up against these delusions and lies, and this is what's going to be changing in our lifetime, and maybe sooner than we can think. And for us individually, it's about breaking out of that lower matrix of this programming that's kept us small and feeling like we don't have that power access, accessible to us, when in fact it's what we're made out of. And so each of us individually is working through to release from this lower matrix. And the closer you get to freedom, the more intense it gets. Okay, so that's part of the energy of this time. It's like there is not external validation. There is not somebody, that's going to come along and be like, oh, yeah, you're doing it, and encourage you in this world. Everything in this manifested world, in this level of consciousness, is about keeping us blind, keeping us small, keeping us powerless, right? And so this 2020 astrology is incredibly potent, where each of us individually can choose and be ready to just keep on the journey, keep on the path, and break out of this lower matrix into greater, wider freedom. This is something that happens each of us in our individual consciousness, because our whole macrocosm of everything that's happening out there is also happening in here, right? I kind of see this picture sometimes of like this great brain, and this is the programming, right? And we've given our brain is actually been used and manipulated to create this lower matrix, right? So we've been convinced that and so we're in our own mind trap. And what we want to do and what we need to do is create and live an organic matrix. And the point of where we're trying to go, the control energies want to move us into digital matrix, into a artificial intelligence matrix, where our soul is slowly sucked out of our body. The human soul is the most valuable, it is the gold of this universe. And yet us human souls are here going, like feeling like it might be like the most torturous thing to experience. And yet it's what every force out there in the universe wants, for just the extraction of the soul is the gold. And so we got to stop this madness and start enjoying what we have and the power of what we have. And that's what this 2020 astrology is about. It's giving us an opportunity, if we want to make that choice, to be free of this lower matrix and take back that energetic power. And now we're feeling this today with Mars, and it's in an exact opposition with Saturn, but we're also feeling the opposition to Pluto. And so it's just like now when these things happen, you'll often feel this type of astrology, you'll feel highlighted in your life the areas where you don't feel in control and where you don't feel powerful. And in fact, we don't actually have any power or control. I mean, we don't have, when we're trying to control our world with our lower personality construct, that's that artificial brain. It's like our creative forces have been hijacked and put into this collective brain, and they want us to create the negative happenings and the ongoing war. You can feel this changing, right? It's like, as much as they keep trying to tell us that we are violent and we are this, humanity is not true, and we're evolving, we're getting nicer, we're getting happier, and the news isn't going to tell you this, right? So we have to take back those programs, right? We have to get rid of that programming that says we're small and powerless and at the mercy of these control energies. And we have to start creating, take back our creative forces and start creating the world that we want to see. That's what's going on here. It's an epic, amazing experience. And yet, when you're in it, it might feel like glue. So that's kind of the feeling. It's like, oh, these patterns, I worked so much on them and now they're just blooming and taking control. It's like the octopus. It's like this monster energy is just like reaching out and pulling me back down into the lower matrix, right? But actually, we're just being given a huge opportunity to break out of that matrix for good, because most souls that I've been working with are going back and forth between the lower energies and the higher vibrational frequencies that are available to us. And so just know, though, through everything we're going through, when you break free, you feel better. Like it feels better and lighter and more support, and you're working with the organic grid of your highest guidance, the beneficial energies that want to see us succeed and to move into the truth of who we are. That's available, but not until we say no and take back our power and find this false programming, right? And we got to start this, start the creating. And it's so hard. I mean, the more you try to put your positive intention towards the world you want to see and the life you want to create, it feels like the more forces work against you. That's where we're at, right? And yet we cannot give up, because it's our consciousness that's creating our reality, but it's been programmed with bad programming, and we got to get that out of here. That's why all the shit's coming up for us right now. The shit is hitting the fan, so we can individually say, oh, that's bullcrap, and I don't want to, that's not true, and I'm going to be here in this vibration. It's been harder and harder through these past decade to hold that higher vibrational frequency, that hope. So when you have these messages come in that are like, you can't do it, you'll never succeed, just try and try, nothing ever happens, you're just like working so hard and you never see any benefit, and that whole feeling of building something beautiful, and then the negative forces come and tear it down. And when you hear these messages, that's programming. And we're literally in this grid. It's a literal energetic grid through the technology systems on the planet, particularly in the US, feeding us these paradigms, right? They're feeding us, especially according to our own weaknesses and personality issues from past lives, right? And it's like, no, you can't win. You'll never get out of this. Like, that's, so this is when we have to be like, those messages are coming from the false psychological ego construct, big brain that is trying to control us and suck our soul. And we have to find the power of the mind, and so it gets easier and easier to recognize these thought patterns as not your own. It's programming, right? And so the minute you say, wait a minute, is that really my thought? Then it gives you this opportunity to recognize, right? And say, and this is the key, because our thoughts can't get us where we're going. Where we want to go and the world we want to create is vibrational, right? So it's energy. So you basically have to be like, like it's not thoughts. It's like thoughts go away. I'm going to be energetically. And this is why we do the activations and the group sessions, so we can clear and heal this programming and allow ourselves to vibrationally represent, and you might be the only one around you, but it's up to you to hold this space. If you're aware of what's happening, you're being asked to be a part of this grand project. And that is being like, okay, everything in my life says that life is this way, but I choose different. And I'm going to hold a vibrational frequency, and it's not always easy, right? So don't get down on yourself if you're not feeling good, but those are lower matrix vibrations. right? So we got to find whatever way we can to feel good. That is our duty here, to hold a vibrational frequency of something different. And the closer we get to that, the harder it is. That's just the way it goes. And it's an individual journey, and yet, we're each deciding individually, and yet we're working together as a group too. Really powerful to connect to our soul groups and be like, oh, okay, there's one other person out there. There's a whole group of people out there. I don't know them, but I can feel them on the astral plane. We're all working on this together. And we can say no to these negative, false programming, this is like self-condemnation. The messages are like, you don't want to live. Okay, so in the basic force of life force that we have available to us as humans has to do with our fight to live. And when you don't want to live anymore, then that means your soul is being sucked from you. Okay. And it's like, okay, maybe if we could just, get through this life and then the next one will be better. But no, this is our opportunity right here, right now, And so that's how these forces are targeting us, to keep us in that lower frequency vibration of hopelessness and despair. Things will never change. All your work is for nothing. You're going to come back you've dedicated this whole, your soul essence to this earth evolution, and you're never going to win. You're never going, it's just a failure. This is programming based on past life so-called failures, where we've been manipulated as healers, as empaths, as sensitive souls, and caught into these patterns of karmic garbage, like getting stuck in these cycles, and we have to come back and try to clear our karma. And but it's all, there's just a bigger picture to what's happening here and what we're doing, and we get caught in that lower little tiny story of what's happening in our life right now. And so part of the vibrational healing is getting out of these stories and getting out of the personality construct and getting out of the ego, thus the ego death, right? So this astrology is ego death all over the place with Mars and Saturn and Pluto. And then Mercury coming in. Mercury's like, it's okay, we'll figure it out. We'll make sense of it, and Pluto's like, the wrecking ball on all those beliefs, which is good. It just doesn't feel good at the time. But if you can sit tight and take advantage of the power of this time and know that it's the falling down of the dominoes of all of the false beliefs that have kept you in this lower matrix, then just kind of come back into this center and see what's happening from there. Be the observer. So let's go ahead and tap into this energy that's available to us today. It's almost like we're in the eye of the storm in this astrology, and maybe we can find that center and reorient. It's almost like life squeezes us so hard sometimes, and that's one of these times, but it's squeezing us into the center of the truth of who we really are. So let's go ahead and take advantage of this eye of the storm energy and just feel yourself arrive right here, right now. Just taking a few deep breaths. Go ahead and say hello to Mother Earth, sinking in, reaching down a root system. Like a big sigh of relief. Oh, okay, I'm on Mother Earth. She's here with me. We're in this together. I'm not alone. This is a bigger, greater project that you're so lucky to be a part of. There's a huge line of souls trying to get to Earth at this time, and you made it in. And I know it doesn't make it any easier to get through these intensities, but what if it's something that we're working on that's more glorious than we can even imagine? So just go ahead and feel that release and relax a whole lower part of your body, just sinking in to Mother Earth, taking a few deep breaths. And there's a sensation of like an elevator kind of like going down. You've been stuck up in this mental realm and just gradually allowing yourself to sink deeper and deeper to the ground, to that communication with Mother Earth. And just recognize that the moment you do that, the intensity of the daily life that we're experiencing right now just kind of calms down. We can get perspective. We can get inner perspective. Just sinking deeper and deeper, relaxing and releasing into this now moment. Recognizing this center, that in manifested reality, it's duality, it's toroidal fields that hold vortexes, that hold energy that makes our manifested physical world. And wherever you have that vortex technology, there's one point outside of duality. This is the spark of creation. This is you just before you came into this incarnation. This is still point. It's also resonant with heart frequency resonance. Using this vortex technology that comes from our heartbeat. So finding yourself behind your physical heart. And just go ahead and step into the portal of the heart. Deeper and deeper into the center of you, into this place outside of duality. And feel yourself arrive in this still point. Recognizing that at the center of the earth, the center of the galaxy, the center of the universe, the center of all manifested form, every molecule, there is this place. So in this place, it's a very individual place within you, and yet it's also very universal. If you go deep enough into the portal of the heart, you'll end up out in space. And just feel yourself floating, free, completely released and relaxed, and just enjoy this calm, this eye of the storm, reminding yourself that this is always available to you. And just receive an energetic wave as you float out in the cosmos to receive the healing energies available to you from the cosmos. Still anchored into Mother Earth, but floating free from all your cares and worries, and just receive this healing of cosmic blessings. Feeling your nervous system just completely relax and release, perhaps more peace than you've known in this incarnation, right here, right now. Just receive. And just remind yourself, from this perspective, way out in space, all of the earth and all of our daily cares and worries are very small. And you're in tune with the greater cosmic forces holding all of this magical experience in play. And what is your life like lived from this place? Just staying in this peace, in this wider perspective, in this calm, still point for as long as you would like. Bringing this calm into your daily life as much as you can allow. Taking a few deep breaths. And when you're ready, go ahead and complete your meditation. Well, thank you so much for joining me for day 14 of 21 Days of Presence. Really great energy of this calm, the eye of the storm. Finding that calm through all of it as we move into this whole year and a half of intense energies ahead of us that we're dipping our toes into right now. And it's hot, or maybe it's cold, but it is quite an experience. So know that you're being prepared for what's coming, to make the most of it, to be set free out of this lower matrix and have this incredibly exciting and enjoyable and supported life. And holding space for that possibility for all of us, just by being brave enough to be here and be breathing and find that joy in whatever way you can. So thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow on for day 15 of 21 Days of Presence. And we're rapidly approaching this powerful Sagittarius full moon that will be next to Jupiter, extracting out our deepest desires for the life that we'd really like to have. And maybe that's part of this magical portal leading up to the solstice. It's like, okay, there's all this restriction around the truth of who you are, and lies and deception and corruption in our psyche. And yet there's this deep pull that was getting validated right now towards this greater purpose and greater meaning and more enjoyable experience of what's happening here. So thanks so much for joining me. I look forward. So maybe I'll see you at the full moon activation. That's going to happen on this Sunday, and at noon Mountain Time. And then also I'd love to see you at that soul group session leading up to the exact time of the solstice on next Friday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So I hope to see you there, and thanks so much for joining and bringing your energy and being present with these really potent, incredible times. So I'll see you tomorrow for day 15. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise.